What's up, guys? So I was thinking about this conversation that I had with my friend around 2 weeks ago. So he basically asked me um, what my thoughts were about death. Like, what do I think happens after death? And my response was, so basically, what I think happens when we die or after we die is, you just black out. Like the moment you die, you just black out, and then that's that basically. Like your story ends there. You won't be able to remember anything. You won't be able to think. Once your brain dies, your consciousness dies, and that's that. I don't believe in an afterlife. I don't believe that anyone is going to heaven or anyone's going to hell. I just believe that once you die, you're dead. End of story. And that's that. And the reason why I say this is because, think of it this way. Before you were born, you don't remember anything, right? You don't remember what life was like before you were born. You have no memories of that. You have no recollection of what it was like to be in your mother's womb, right? And because you weren't really conscious yet, you don't know what life looked like for your mother before she became pregnant. You don't know what life looked like for your father before your mother became pregnant. They tell you what life was like before having you, but you don't have any memories of that. You don't know what it was like. And so I believe that's exactly how it's going to be when you die. Your consciousness dies with your brain. And this is scientifically proven, guys. I'm not just making things up, right? Your consciousness is linked to your brain. If there's some form of complication in your brain, that will affect your consciousness. If you take psychedelics, for example, that's going to affect your consciousness. So if you die, your consciousness dies with your brain, with your body. Also, like if you have a concussion, for example, and you're unconscious. So I've never really had a concussion, but I hear of stories where people have concussions and they're unconscious, and then they wake up and they have no idea of what was going on while they were unconscious, right? They have no idea. And so they'll remember things that happened before being unconscious, like as time goes by, but they won't really remember what happened while they were unconscious. Now, this may not be for everyone, of course. Some people, I don't know, maybe like are conscious, or they do remember what happened during a concussion. But yeah, I'm speaking about people who've been unconscious and and had this type of story where they just don't remember anything while they were unconscious. So that's basically my view of death, right? Or what happens after death. So I don't really believe in life after death. And we had this conversation. It was a chilled conversation. There was no screaming, no shouting, no nothing. There was no aggression. It was just a really calm conversation. And he's Christian, and so he believes that we'll either go to heaven or hell, right? And I told him, like, I don't think there's anything wrong with believing that maybe someday you'll go to heaven or hell, or believing that maybe a loved one is in heaven resting. We'd all like to believe that we're working towards something greater once we die. Just the thought of like just dying and then that's it, like that being the end of your story, is it's obviously not like what most people would want to hear. It's less digestible, if I can put it that way. And so, in order to make ourselves feel better, I think we'll tell ourselves that, well, once I die, I probably go to heaven or I'll go to hell. But most people obviously want to go to heaven, right? And we want to believe that the worst individuals that are alive today are probably going to go to hell. That's what we want, right? Well, that's what some people want. And so we continued this conversation, and eventually, like, I told him, like, I think it's more important to focus on life rather than death. I think it's more important to focus on what's happening right now. And as cliche as it sounds, like life is basically too short to be worried about death and to be worried about the afterlife. You have to worry about what's going on right now. Like if I were to die right now, I know that I wouldn't really be too happy, right? Looking back, or if I was on my deathbed, sorry, I wouldn't really be too happy with the way that I lived my life because there's so much more that I want to do, and there's so much that I haven't done um, that I just feel like I want to do while I'm still alive. Um, so yeah, I just feel like my life at the moment is very incomplete, and that's why I want to live more for myself, right? I want to be a little bit more selfish, if I can put it that way, because you probably won't get to live again, right? So it is very important that you focus on your current life and make sure that you live life to the full. Otherwise, one day you're going to wake up 70 or 80 years old, if you get to make it that far, hopefully. Um, but you probably are going to wake up and then wonder where all of those years went and why you never did what you wanted to do with your life. So worry less about death and worry more about life. Worry about what's happening at the moment, at this moment. Like going forward, how do you want to live your life, right? Focus on life right now rather than worrying about death. Because obviously that day is going to come for all of us. No matter how long we try to delay it, but it's going to come. But while you're still alive, try to live your life to the full. Try to enjoy as much as you can. Because when the day comes that you have to depart from this world, at least you'll be able to say, you know, I am pleased with the way that I lived my life.